Hi, welcome to this Open Security Summit session in October 2023. And I'm here with Chen, and we're going to be talking about, I think, a massive topic in our industry, which is basically how we address the cybersecurity talent gap and fundamentally the growing skill shortage that I think we all feel. Anybody who's hiring and is building teams experience this. So, you want to just kick us off, Chen, and give your introduction about you and then your views on this topic?
Yeah. So, hello everybody, I'm Chen. Coming from a lot of many years in this hands-on application security. I've been a consultant through the first half of my career, a lot of pen testing, been around many places, and so I kind of struggle with the problem. I must say that by the time I was a consultant, it wasn't really not many companies were directly employing cybersecurity professionals. It just started, and it was mostly consultants at the beginning, and then slowly but surely companies realized that they need to build their own internal task force. And it was fascinating to see how the industry responded to the cybersecurity threat by building internal capabilities and internal teams and developing methodologies. Um, the second half of my career I was still in cybersecurity, but more on the vendor side, so building products, including my startup was recently acquired by Sneak and Enzo Security. This was the first ASPM solution on the planet, and just a few months back we got acquired by Sneak. And there I was responsible for many different things, but essentially building up a platform that will help companies manage and run their application security gig, which I think is one of the areas where the expertise needed are so delicate, and the frameworks and methodologies and structure around the problem space are so proliferated, where this actually become a very big issue. So yeah, I think maybe this group is small enough that we can open up everybody's access to microphone, and then we can have it as a discussion, because it'll be otherwise it'll be just the two of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm making everybody a co-host, right? So if you guys feel free to chip in with your views and talk about this, right? I think this is um a really key thing. So one topic maybe first to explore is, yeah, maybe a little bit not controversial, but I would say I don't think we have in a total a skill shortage. I think we have a skills transfer problem. I think what we're not very good at is creating opportunities and creating recruitment workflows that allows individuals and talent from other industries outside cybersecurity, from about other technology or engineering, or even left fields from medicine, from poetry, from all sorts of different ways of life, right? And professionals to bring them into the cybersecurity field. Because I
Yeah,
actually feel that that will increase the diversity of what we have, but I think it will bring a lot of experienced professionals in our field that would also really needs them. So it's not necessarily that our pool is quite small. It's like maybe we should have a bigger pool of talent
yeah,
to draw from.
yeah. So for me, when I think about these subjects, I think that there are a few things to recognize. First is that the entire information technology industry is quite new when you compare it to other industries. And then even when you think about other industries that are similar in nature to what we are doing, which is actually building things, and you look at other industries that are about creating products and building products, um, you'd see that there is always different levels of professionality, and you'd look at one shop and they'll be building in a very chaotic way, and then you look at another shop and they'll be building very accurately with planning and designs. And so the industry by itself is young. Building software, building applications, building digital systems is very difficult. There isn't yet like a perfect way to do this. Everybody struggles with leading an effective operation of building software. It includes a lot of talent, a lot of different aspects that you need to consider when you're working on this. And then in this industry, this kind of bad boy, which is cybersecurity, is even younger than the industry itself, and is trying to deliver something that requires first understanding a whole lot of information about building information technologies, and then understanding where it can go wrong, and also providing a practical solution in for securing it. It's a lot. It's a lot to know. It's a lot of knowledge. It's a lot to take in, and it's a lot to deliver to. And in this, we still haven't figured out what would be the right way, what is the right methodology, what are the actual things that we need to worry about. So, for example, one of the things that we've been focusing when we built Enzo Security was the specific topic of how do we build up a very professional approach to the problem space? How do we try to eliminate the cry wolf situation where many cybersecurity professionals think that it's their job to just raise the alarm, but it isn't really. It's also to build up into the culture of the organization the sense of right prioritization and right investment in security, and so it's a lot. And because this is a lot, I get back to what you just said, Dinis, that because this is so much, there are many ways in which we can open up and bring in more talent and more approaches to the problem, and try to enable more people in assisting in making companies more resilient to cyber threats.
Yeah, and you know, if you look at, I would say the qualities that you want in your professionals is, you know, curiosity, ability to learn, ability to handle pressure, ability to be a good team player, have a great cultural fit, ability to process lots of complex information, be able to, you know, get things done, you know, and understand complexity. So like you can get on, right? And a lot of those are, I would say, human and professional skills that have nothing to do with cybersecurity, right? And you know, yes, it's a lot in our field, but you could argue that it's also a lot in the medical field. There's also a lot in other industries, right? It's almost every industry has a lot going on, right? In a lot of the stuff they do. So you know, the challenge there is how do we give them those skills, right? How do we give the skills to that individual that is joining an industry that doesn't have a huge background? And I think there's different paths. I think there's a path where you're very technological, and I think there's a connection there. But there's also, I think, a path where you might not be very technological, but you have a lot of engineering, you know, in a wider sense of engineering sense, or a lot of structure or ability to consume a lot of information sense. And I think each of those pillars requires different attitude or different approaches for how you know you expose that individual to, you know, an industry which, like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on, but we also invent the wheel a lot, right? We also sometimes over dramatize a lot of these things in our industry, because it's about, you know, so the fundamentals, right? It's about, you know, figuring out what you want to do, how you want to do it, how you get it done, and enabling others. Because a lot of times in security, we are a property of a system, right? Like we need to get the dev team, or we need to work with the dev team to implement certain things. We need to work with the engineering team to implement certain things. It's a lot of times we shouldn't be doing it. We should be empowering, enabling, providing guidance, providing, you know, information or managing risk, etc., for other teams to be productive. So a lot of those skills you know you can learn. So a lot of those specific technicalities things you can learn. I think my hypothesis is the other skill set is much harder to learn, and the talent pool that we go for these days is much smaller, which a lot of times doesn't have those skills of, you know, basically, you know, like for example, like I was talking to a friend of mine, and his wife is a teacher, right? And I think teachers are amazing, right? I think teachers, you know, anybody who can teach a bunch of kids, right? Fucking hell, right? It's like, it's a hell of a skill, right? And if you talk about managing and keeping that in control and dealing with all the stuff and all there's a lot of complexities in UK about it. But those individuals are amazing, right? But they're actually not very well paid. in a weird way, like we have a premium in cybersecurity that we should be leveraging, because it's almost like we need people to do transfer from one industry, and we can pay them more even to where they are, even if they don't have domain expertise, because at the moment the premium is actually really high. And you can argue that for the skill that the new generation has, that premium is out of whack, right?
Mhm.
It just happens to be a lot of demand, a lot of team, like you said, when you started, when I was around initially, right? There was no cybersecurity teams, right? There was no, the market for cybersecurity professionals was much lower. To be hired as a threat modeler, what the hell? Like that wasn't the thing, right? And now
Yeah,
it's a full blown, career path, right?
yeah, yeah. And I think they've been trying to build, in some universities they're already trying to build. They've been existing also for a while, full training programs and full education programs on the subject. But I think one of the challenging things here is that this subject is so much about other topics. It's not so much a thing by itself. Is just to properly understand information technologies and then try to find ways to inject some security in them. If
Yeah,
it's in the understanding the infrastructure, and then from understanding the infrastructure, you can understand potential threats and risks, and then you need to understand how to deliver solutions to this. So you have
yeah,
a long way to go, but I think that similar to how I spend a lot of my time in a lot of my career in companies that build information technology products. So I live and breathe the DNA of companies that are building software.
yeah,
And as you spend more and more time there, at the beginning you think it's just a bunch of developers behind the keyboard. And at some point, you start to realize that there are also product people and operation people. Why would you need an operation person in a company that all they do is build up software? But you actually really need those operation people, because coordinating between the different efforts of the company is super critical. Why do we need so much investment in product definition? Because if you don't invest properly in product definition, you will have your developers running about trying to build stuff that won't connect and won't deliver to the actual needs of the user eventually. So you need to actually invest more in product. And then you even have things like marketing and people that are just explaining what this should be, explaining to the outside world what this should be, that building up brand and marketing around it, and you spend more and more time in high tech, and you realize how many different professions are there in high tech. You can open up and to the notion that it's not necessarily about the technicality of things, you said before. It's more about, and especially in cybersecurity, it's more about mindshare of the organization. The successful cybersecurity professional is the one that managed to convince as many different people in the organization that this is important. They don't even need to understand the single exploit. They just need to understand that eventually bringing security to a company is just changing the mindset of the people, making them aware of the problem. Eventually, it doesn't matter how good of a pen tester you are. If the developers don't think so, it doesn't matter. You have to convince them eventually. You have to convince their managers to to give you the budget and to put efforts into securing. And when you think about this, like you said before, it opens up a lot of opportunities to loop in more people, loop in operation people, loop in
yeah,
product people,
yeah,
loop in marketing people. Marketing is super important for cybersecurity, internal marketing, promoting the notion that we need to be more careful with how we do things. You can just put a marketing person on that job, just feed to them professionally with the right messaging, the messaging that will be useful for developers, and
mm,
then they will be probably more impactful than the best pen tester on a long term.
yeah. No, I agree, and I think the interesting challenge now is how can we create jobs and and help people in those transitions, right? Because the ones who are hiring have in a way a responsibility to create jobs that allow those individuals to make the jump. One of the things I try to do these days a lot is to do internal secondments. So try to find other individuals in the company that want to join the cybersecurity team, even just for a little bit, and then that allows that transition to be smoother, and then allows us to say, hey, we got this project here, that would be great if you can help. So that makes a big difference. So Anthony has a good question here, which is, what are the good instructional schools and education we can obtain? My always main thing on this is like, I think in security you need to learn how to hack. I think it's very important. I think there's something when you exploit that you understand a lot better what happens in here. And I think a lot of it's all about hands-on experience. It's about, having practical understanding and doing some of these things for real. And for example, open source communities are great because they need a lot of help, and they're always quite friendly. And I have to say, these days, I would say start with ChatGPT, start with Bard, but I think ChatGPT is still probably the best one on this level. And the next generation of education bots are going to make a massive difference. And I'm going to talk a little bit in the session I'm going to work in a bit, but I think that is going to be a massive change because, Anthony, for example, we were able to create personalized training for you or for, whoever, that needs this, right? And that is super powerful because you can say, here's the objectives, here's the topics, here's the concepts, here's the things we want to cover. And now here's your experience, here's this is the areas you're good at, the areas you have good references. How do we now create a learning path, a set of explanations, a set of knowledge that is completely customized to the individual? And I think that's a game changer because it allows somebody who already has a lot of domain expertise to realize that those acquired skills are actually not that far off from the more advanced cybersecurity skills, which might look very Chinese in the beginning, but actually they're just variations of things that you probably already know. You just call them different things.
Yeah, I think that one thing that is like a kind of a shared between all cybersecurity professionals that they promote thinking out of the box and try to think outside of the box. And then when you think about the title of this session, how do we address the gap in cybersecurity? It will be immediately our first response to think out of the box. And the out of the box here would be to try and find different ways of reaping value from people that are interested in it, right? If people are interested in, and if Anthony, if you're interested, like exactly like Dinis said, go about the thing that you know. What brings you into the IT industry? And obviously, not that all of cybersecurity is about the IT industry. There are big parts of any industry because every industry have IT today. But I would speak from IT industry perspective because this is what I know best. Think about all the professions that exist there in the IT industry, and then if you're focusing to eventually, if you're already in this industry, you already have a profession in this industry. Maybe you're a product manager, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're in marketing, maybe you're in sales. If you're already in this industry, try to find what would be the the closest angle. Of course, you can go about formal training, like the list that you shared in the chat. What kind of training and certifications are recommended ones? I personally, I admit, I have none of these. Right? I don't have CISSP. I have none of these. I've never. And I've been delivering security in many different organizations for a very long time now. I don't have any formal education. This is definitely a route that you can take to try and onboard one program. I'd say go start with Udemy, start with acquiring knowledge before trying to go for certification. Maybe try and play around with bug bounty programs. They're open. You can maybe try and bank over a specific issue like cross-site scripting, for example. Try to learn it, go to Udemy, go to YouTube, learn about cross-site scripting, and then go to bug bounty programs and try to find one and try to find cross-site scripting by yourself. This will really create some appetite for more, because if you find one, you could actually get paid for it. And I've seen people start their career this way. I've seen people very successful today start and accelerate their career this way by just learning about few classes of vulnerabilities, one by one and then trying to find them themselves. There are a lot of available resources to try yourself, like look for vulnerable web applications in Google. There are a bunch of applications that can be used to try out yourself.
Or ask Juice Shop, right?
Yeah, Juice Shop, for example. Use Juice Shop and similar applications to try out and experience yourself what it is to exploit applications, and then from there take it to bug bounty programs and try in the real world.
Yeah.
If your vector is technical, if you're interested in trying out exploits, trying out finding vulnerabilities, this is definitely a way to go.
So it's kind of interesting because in the past I was a lot more dismissive of certifications. I think it depends where you are, and I think it depends on the path that you have available to you. There's definitely places in the world that certification is a big deal.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm on that world. I don't think a lot when we hire, that's definitely not what we look for. We would never say if you don't have the certifications, you're not applicable for the job, right? I would even argue that whoever does that, you don't want to work for them because they're already looking at the wrong thing. That said, there is value, right? Like if you're good, if you like to study, if you're good at exams, that's a way to learn, go for it, right? But I don't think you should view it as the primary most important thing. Like if you get those, CompTIA, ISC square, etc. It's not you get those, you get a job, right? That's not how it works. And
Right.
I don't think that's the best way to learn. I think some individuals get better. I actually really like the idea of starting to create customized, again, versions of that based on, what matters. Because the problem with a lot of those certifications is that they, only 10% of it is interesting, right? The other is just fluff, right? Or the other is not relevant, or it's basically, it's okay. Well, persuade it, 10% could be relevant to some things, right? But where you want to go or what your skill set is not that that good. Now you mentioned also boot camps. Now these are interesting, and I've seen some really good ones, and I'm sure there's really bad ones. But the boot camps have an interesting concept, at least the ones I've seen, which is they take cohorts of individuals who have a lot of experience, but for example, don't have security experience or don't have technology experience or don't have development experience. And like for example, I would absolutely hire somebody who did a developer bootcamp, right? I think that's a great thing because I think development is a really hard skill. And somebody who's gone through it and understood and knows version control and knows a lot of those things, that's actually quite a really great skill that is highly applicable. Yes, there's probably a money grab there situation that you're talking about. I think you need to be careful. Again, there's probably a lot of lemons in the market these days. Um, I would look at what's the output, what did the people that took the course, the boot camp did, but some of them are quite good because it's a 3 months intensive thing or 6 months or whatever it is, and it's almost driven by the market. So a lot of those actually give very highly employable skills, and it's all about the attitude. It's all about how you approach it. So I think you be careful, and and again, you could spend a lot of money, right, and not advance a lot, right? I think there's lots of ways you can start straight away to learn that doesn't require to spend a lot of money on courses.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that if you think about the subject of this talk, there is, I think maybe I recognize now that the content for an individual who's trying to enter the cybersecurity market and try to become to work there is different than if you talk to a company who's trying to bridge their gap in recruiting people. It's completely different, and I think that if we have captured here something Dinis together, I think that for the latter, for the companies that are trying to find out how they can onboard more professionals, open up, think out of the box, and try to find ways to enable people contribute to cybersecurity from different angles, because actually there are many angles that are being neglected there. Marketing, I think, is one of them. Internal marketing, promoting the message. If you look at even security frameworks, they would deduct a very big part of the framework would be about publishing the data and the knowledge inside of an organization. And this doesn't have to do anything with knowing, with actually understanding cybersecurity. It's just understanding messaging and how to talk about it. If you are an individual, I think that a good thing to do would be to look at yourself and how you usually interested in learning things and acquiring new skills and new knowledge, and apply the same thing to this process. Find your there is no I think that there is no right or wrong way to do this.
Yeah,
There is just opportunities all over the place. Many of them are free. I don't think you should start with something
yeah,
that you pay for
yeah,
and then just embark on a journey. But please understand, it will be a journey. It will take years until you'd get to a level of people that have been doing this for a long time. But you could already, and you could acquire a lot of knowledge
yeah.
quite quickly if you use what's out there.
But here's the thing, right? And I've been trying to do this for a little while. The fundamental requirement is you need to start to have an interest slash passion, because some people show passion in different ways, but you need to be maybe fascinated is a more better word. You need to be almost like maybe almost like you need to fall in love with cybersecurity, right? Because I think the nice thing of our industry is most of the professionals, they absolutely love it. There's a passion about it. There's a genuine, you know, sparkle in the eyes that you see in our profession, which is great, by the way. I think it's one of the great things of our industry. Um, and I also feel that there is an interesting situation because cybersecurity is quite a glamorous, in one way, career path. There's, a lot of people talk about it. There's good media promotion, and then there's good salaries. I do see people trying to cross that for the wrong reasons. And although I do believe that if you do the right path, you will earn more. Your career, is probably better path to have a higher income. And not that that should be the goal, but again, there's a path there. Doing that for those reasons is wrong. I do feel that it's a great career, probably not for everybody, but it's a really cool thing. And that's the field that it's almost like individuals that want to get into cybersecurity, they need to find the sweet spot. They need to find the area, and cybersecurity is massive, right? It's fucking huge, right? In terms of areas that they can really relate to, and more important, they can go, oh, I could do that better, right? Like, like marketing is a good example. A marketing executive can look at how we communicate and going, you guys have no freaking idea, right? Like this is a shit show, right? Like I can do better. I might not understand cybersecurity, but I know how to communicate, right? Easy to
Mhm.
respond. Somebody might go, you guys, this is a shit show. Like, the way you handle incidents, if you did that in a hospital, half our patients would die, right? So, it's like, I think there's also areas, engineering, like I can give me an area, I can find you an example in cybersecurity that you can probably add value. And the level, and the good news is that we're not a mature industry. The good news is
Mhm.
because the market keeps evolving, because the threats keep evolving, because technology keeps evolving, and now we got the whole chat GPT and AI world, which is another massive area. The good news is you can still hack your way into the industry. Like you can still do what we did. I would argue that we hacked our way into the industry. We didn't have a lot of formal stuff. We just stumbled across, became good, gained reputation, got hired, and we went from there. So it's still a good moment to join the industry. And I think we
Yeah.
need a lot of new blood and new ideas and new experiences. And it could be a work from home mom, right? It could be somebody who's doing a bunch of other stuff who wants to join, or it could be somebody who wants to go to the next level of their career. I think there's a lot of really cool opportunities.
Agreed. Agreed. I think that it's actually a very good timing because the evolution of this is due. It's really required now that as I think that the same as information technology um, is now maturing to a level where people have been shouting agile, agile, do this, do that, but now it's already been through I'd say second phase
Yeah,
of evolution, where people realize that even agile is not just a magic solution, and you need to have more, and the different professions inside information technologies industry are evolving to become something much more professional. Like if you compare a I don't know, agriculture or other industries that have been there for a very long time, you see the level of knowledge and professionality that the
yeah,
humankind have around these is
yeah.
much more mature than what we have in information
Oh,
technology.
put us to shame every day in those
Yeah,
industries.
yeah. It's amazing to see, and it's amazing to realize this. And then if you think about cybersecurity, it's even behind.
Yeah,
It's playing catch, and this is a really good timing because as we can all see, it's really necessary that people will get the
yeah.
stuff figured
Okay.
out.
and the execs pay attention, right? Like cybersecurity is a top level risk for a company, right? Like it's not a low risk. And to be honest, we get this wrong. Our customers suffer, right? Our company suffers, right? Or whatever you're trying to protect. So it's a real thing, right? So it's and it should be, I like the fact that says I make my customers safe. We make a difference by keeping, their data, their assets, their experience, the trust. We protect it. So I think it's a really cool career, right? And it's always learning. There's always new stuff. There's always new things to learn. And the thing that Anthony just said, I think is interesting, is to say the path is hard to figure out where you can land. I would challenge that a little bit. I think you need to find a path that you're already going, and then do a tweak on it on security, right? Like whatever career you're in, you're already in a career path. Even if you learn it, if you're a student, doesn't matter. There's already things that you love to do, or you think you have a certain set of skill set. That's where you want to align yourself, right? You want to align yourself with that. So I think sometimes it's easy to overbake this, easy to say, well, I should go there, I should go there. No, a lot of this is just try to do it. Try to protect yourself, try to protect your family, try to look wherever you are from now. It doesn't matter if you're a student or a professional, work for a company, there will be a cybersecurity team that you can touch, that you can go in there and say, hey, I want to be a security champion. I want to help out. I want to be involved. What can I do? Right. And open source projects, like just volunteer, right? Like, hack your way into the project. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. One of the key tenets here is think out of the box, hack your way into it.
Yeah.
I think this would be the best. If we're
we
talking
did it.
about people trying to get in, hack your way in.
Yeah.
No rules. The only rule about it, there is no rules.
Yeah, that's how most of us do it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
never, always be on the good side of the force, by the way, always be ethical.
Yeah.
Never do anything for personal gain at that level. But apart from that, right, it's like, be out there, right, and find that path. And then, and the Gen AI stuff is massive, because for the first time, you can create a prompt that says, in fact, I do this to my friends. I write prompts where I say, I'm this person. I have this experience. I have this, and this. What should I do? In fact, actually, let me literally read you this. Right? I was, a friend of mine is a PE teacher. Literally, I literally wrote this. Let me just find it, and which I think was a really good way to what's it called? Yeah, there you go. Look, see. I literally wrote this, right? I'm X name. I'm a teacher. I'm just reading the prompt I created, right? When I was with him, right? In the car. I'm a teacher in London, has 10 years experience. I'm good with managing people. In fact, he wrote this. He wrote the first part of it. He says, I'm a teacher in London, has 10 years of experience. I'm good with managing people, and I'm good at listening, problem solving, and resolving conflict. I love football. I'm a really good team player, have strong ethics and values. I believe in happy and productive teams. I had enough of my job. I'm frustrated with my current career.
Send over the CV, please.
And I'm frustrated with my current job. Right? I'm looking for a career, change, and what are good options for me, right? I literally type this, and then again, what are good jobs for me in cybersecurity, right? And then, ChatGPT answered, hey, with your background in teaching, manage complex people and conflict resolution, coupled with a strong ethics and team play attitude, you are positioned to transition to cybersecurity. Here's a step for you: education and certification, leverage your skills, cybersecurity awareness and training, incident response team, do some networking, get some soft skills, blah, blah, blah. Start small, stay updated, tailor your CV, and that's it. So literally, like at this level, and then ChatGPT is cool because you can go, okay, can you zoom in on this? Can you give me a 5-action plan? Can you give me a 3-week, schedule? Like, you just learn how to use it. In fact, ChatGPT at the moment, LLMs, is a great way to enter the industry, because I'm telling you, half our industry doesn't have a freaking clue. That's what I'm going to speak next, right? Like literally, they don't have a clue, and they totally deers in headlights. So I would, if you even become half proficient in ChatGPT, right, you can use ChatGPT to get you the job, and you should be hired just because of those skills. The same way that people 20 years ago were hired because they knew the internet, right? Like, hey, they want to hire a designer. We have 10 designers. They're all pretty good. The internet. There you go. They hire you. Like, that was it, right? And so those are the opportunities.
Yeah. I think that Dinis and I were roughly the same age, and for that, I know that we got our way into this industry by like you said before, Dinis, by hacking our way through. So I think this would be our most I think repeated recommendation: hack your way through. What was just suggested here, use ChatGPT to help you find your personal entry point. I think it's
Yeah,
fascinating. It's really cool.
yeah. And look, by the way, hack, just from a historical point of view, is actually a good thing, right? Like hacking, was taken by the media, but hack is finding a problem. Hacking is MacGyver, right? Is when, for the ones older guys
Mhm.
who remember MacGyver, it's basically when you have a problem and you find a solution and you put it together and you find a way to get it done. Like that was actually what's called a hack in the early days,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we would do in websites. Somebody would put a website, put an application, put a network, and we will find ways to do things that were not supposed to be used like that. But we're like, hey, guess what? It's possible, and here's the problem. Here's the implication. It's just the media that make it, bad. So when we say hack your way into it, is finding that, is problem solving, is figuring out how to go to the next step.
Yeah. I think that it is worth mentioning that in order to be really proficient, and especially if you want to choose the engineering journey, the technical journey, you need to learn a lot. And you need to learn a lot about information technologies, about computers, about how software works. It's not, I'd say it's not so easy, but you have to start somewhere. So I recommend if you're inclined to do the engineering path, the technical path, I'd recommend learn about communication, computer communication, and learn a little bit of coding
Yeah,
with publicly available resources. Try to create your own first web application using React, maybe. Go and try to follow step by step creating a React app. Today it's quite easy. Setting up dependencies is quite easy. You'd start with something like a Vite application, VITE. Try to go over the first step instructions on how to do this.
yeah,
Get yourself familiar with how technology work, how computer communication work.
yeah,
You won't figure out everything in the first week or even month, but the more you learn about it, it will create an appetite for learning more. And then if you go with things like a Juice Shop or other training applications, you combine these two, the growing knowledge around information technologies and software development with the appetite to try and break them and try to find loopholes and hack them, I think this would set you up on a path if technical path is what you are looking for.
yeah. But
But
the
like
key
Lily said,
there,
there are many
but,
other ways to get there.
but the key I think you touch is you need to learn, right? And let's be clear, right? If you're trying to get into the industry, you have a handicap. Like, let's just be very transparent, right? Like you are competing with individuals that in that industry have more experience. I would argue that if you come with a whole bag of other experiences, you have a competitive advantage against those individuals because you have a wider pool of talent and pool experiences again to bring, not cybersecurity, but others. But you need to learn, right? Like there is no shortcut here. And in a way, the learning, if you don't like to learn, then that's a problem, right? But if you love to learn or if you enjoy learning, then it's a good thing, right? I think that makes a big difference. It also, like in terms of where to start, look, the Open Security Summit, right? Like in a way, if you think about it, with the speakers that you have here, with the community, the people involved, there's enough employers, right, to hire a lot of people. But what I sometimes find fascinating is that why aren't the new generation a lot more involved? Like the Open Security Summit needs a lot more volunteers, needs a lot of people to help. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of things that don't happen because there's not enough time, because it's all like volunteer driven, right? Including my time, right? So, open source is a great way to be involved. Communities like this, communities like OWASP, right? They're amazing communities. And guess what? You can be hired through that. Like, if you involve and you help somebody, they're gonna go, oh, I have an opportunity for you. And then it's a personal recommendation. And that makes the whole difference. Because it's suddenly like there's somebody who's more emotional connected to helping you, and they might give you good guidance, good mentoring. And a lot of those individuals are there. But you guys need to do the first jump, which is, be involved, help, figure out where you can, add value and try it out. The worst thing that can happen, you ignore it. That's all right. At least you learn something. So,
Mhm.
that's the thing, right? And we failed a lot. Like, we always, try these things, and as long as you try and you learn and you rinse and repeat, eventually, you'll find your sweet spot. And also work with people that you have the same values, right? There's lots of good people in cybersecurity. There's lots of bad people in cybersecurity. There's lots of people doing cybersecurity for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of people on areas of cybersecurity that have questionable ethics. Don't need to go to those, right? There's others who are doing great stuff, work for great companies or doing some great things, right? So it's quite big, right? So align with your ethics, with what you want to do, how you want to learn, and then take it from there.
Absolutely. Everywhere.
Cool. All right, man. I think we're just wrapping up. Any final words from you?
No, I think we've said it all. Especially with direction of just get. I think I agreed a lot with what Denis said. Get connected with your own, with what you're good at. Try to use this as your penetration vector to get in it. You have to learn. You'll have to learn some things. I personally recommend try to take in a lot of information about information technology, or you could also think of it as a completely different thing if you're not taking the technical and engineering journey. There are many options in. I wouldn't jump straight to get to pay for education.
Yeah.
Education is available for free. For your first steps, you should definitely be able to do it for free. And then when you see that that's the right way for you, maybe you can also think of some paid education, but don't start with this.
Dalu, you're joining in. Come on. What's your views on this? Oh,
No, we can't hear you.
I can't hear.
I don't know.
No, now we can hear you.
Now we can. Yeah, now we can.
You can?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just want to thank you for the session. It's always nice to learn about with you guys. I'm Dalu. I'm working now in IT development. I'm working as a quality assurance analyst, and I relate a lot to what Dinis said in the beginning. My background is in biochemistry. I was a teacher for roughly 3 years, and after a few years, I started working in IT. First as a business analyst, and later on as a tester. And yeah, I continue the journey, and trying to hack my way into the field, but no rush. I want to be sure on what I'm doing, so I continue to be interested in the cybersecurity field or industry, as it's becoming an industry, right, or as you prefer to call it. The other day, I attended a Lisbon chapter OWASP session, so I think I'm still trying to find out if I'm in love, if I'm really in love with cybersecurity, and finding out if I'm up to the journey, basically. And today I was in the office, and I managed to fit this session in my schedule, so I'll continue my journey, and probably I'll try to hack my way into the field. And
brilliant. I think I'm presenting in the London Lisbon chapter next month. I think I'm just waiting for final confirmation, so I might see you there.
Could be. Yeah.
But you are a great example of like a lot of, I would say, the talent that we need in our industry, right? Like one of the big elephants that always been, and I guess I come from a development background, so I guess it was a bit rich of me to say this, but I always felt that if you understand development, you can't really do AppSec, right? Like literally. And a lot of the problems we have in our industry is caused by even us as an industry or parts of our industry dictating AppSec stuff to engineers who know 100 times more on that on the other side. And it's kind of like, dude, what the hell, right? Like you should understand how we operate, then give me guidance. And it's in a weird way, it's not the cybersecurity professional fault too, because it's very skewed, right? Like suddenly we're asking for cybersecurity professional to understand about frameworks and this and development and that workflow and this thing and that. Like the list is massive, but which is why I also think that the Gen AI and the agents that are coming next will make a massive difference, because it allows us to communicate in a much better language, so we can start to talk about the intent that we want to do in security. But in your world, you understand about how to deliver code, you understand how to deliver effective solutions, right? Like, come on, man. Some of the cybersecurity teams, we're the worst ones, right? Like if you look at some of our development practices, if you look at how even cybersecurity products, man, fucking hell, like some of the products, like literally, you think you think they should know better, right? Because, but again, it's the same problem. They have a problem, they're shipping to market, they go out there, by the time they're successful, it's lots of legacy stuff. And then, it's like they become just like the other vendors that we sometimes have problems from a security point of view, but they just happen to do a security product. But yeah, but I think that transition from QA to security, especially in development, should not be that hard, because you have a level of maturity that is missing in lots of areas in the cybersecurity world. And I would argue that even if you just do cybersecurity for a couple of years, when you go back to your, maybe QA is your passion or development is your passion, and you want to do maybe that path, you'll be better. Like I was a CTO for a while, and I can totally say that my definition of what's possible was very different from the other engineers. In fact, I would have to argue with other engineers about what was possible. And I was like, dude, this is your world. Like, why don't you get it? Like, okay, it's not how it's supposed to be doing, but it works, right? So I found that even sometimes the development teams and QA teams and engineering teams get siloed, right? And in security, you learn to question everything. You learn the power of, well, I know it was not supposed to be possible. I know it was not supposed to work, but I just made it work, right? And then you understand how. So I think the curiosity is really cool in security because we can go deep, right?
Yeah, that's my experience as well. If you start from security, you open up a lot of possibilities in software development because you adapt this kind of no borders kind of thinking. Like you always challenge the information around you to see to find loopholes, and it opened up a good position for second path for continuing your career in engineering everywhere.
Exactly.
So,
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for participating. We'll we'll share the video, and I really want to figure out how to use now Gen AI to really augment some of these topics, because I think we have a lot of great content already on Open Security Summit, but it kind of gets lost. So I think we move the needle a little bit further. So again, thanks, Chen, for being part of it and helping with this session.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.